The fight for women's right to vote, also known as the women's suffrage movement, was a long and arduous journey that spanned over several decades. It was a movement that demanded equal rights and representation for women in the political sphere, challenging the societal norms and gender roles that had been ingrained for centuries. The road to achieving this fundamental right was filled with obstacles, setbacks, and tireless efforts from women and their allies. In this video, we will explore the history of the women's suffrage movement, the key figures and events that shaped it, and the impact it had on the road to equality for women. The women's suffrage movement begins. As the tide of the 19th century began to turn, a rising wave of desire for civil liberties swept across the globe, lighting the spark for the women's suffrage movement in America. The women who had been marginalized, their voices often drowned in the clamor of male-dominated society, found their voice and began to make themselves heard. It all began with the audacious demand for the right to vote, voiced by none other than Elizabeth Cady Stanton, a pioneer in the fight for women's rights. The year was 1848, and the setting was the historic Seneca Falls Convention. Elizabeth Cady Stanton was one of the primary organizers of the 1848 Seneca Falls Convention, and was among the foremost leaders of the 19th century women's rights movement. This groundbreaking call to arms would ignite the fires of a movement that would forever change the course of history. Before we continue with our adventure, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell not to miss future videos every week. Let's get back to the video. The pioneers of the women's suffrage movement. In the arena of women's suffrage, a battalion of fierce and indomitable women stood their ground against societal norms and oppressive laws. Names such as Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony became synonymous with the cause. Standing alongside them were individuals like Lucy Stone and Sojourner Truth, whose powerful oratory and unwavering commitment further fueled the suffrage engine. They were not just activists, they were trailblazers in every sense of the word. Their methods were varied, yet equally impactful. They wielded their pens and their voices as potent tools for change, penning impactful articles and delivering impassioned speeches that swayed public opinion. They organized gatherings that served as fertile grounds for discussion, debate, and action. The risks were immense, the stakes high. They faced the wrath of a society unready for change and a legal system designed to suppress them. Yet they pressed on, driven by a belief in the cause they were fighting for. In the face of potential ostracism and imprisonment, their resolve only grew stronger. They stood up, they spoke out, and in doing so, they inspired an entire generation to join the battle for equality. Their stories are a testament to the power of conviction and the indomitable spirit of the human will. The struggle and the setbacks. While the journey towards suffrage was filled with determination and audacity, it was also marked by significant obstacles and setbacks. The eruption of the Civil War demanded the nation's focus and temporarily sidetracked the momentum of the suffrage movement. In the aftermath of the war, amendments were enacted to grant voting rights to black men, a step that, while progressive, stirred resentment and disunity among suffragists. Equally testing were the hostile receptions and aggression they faced in response to their peaceful protests. Numerous suffragists, in their quest for equality, found themselves at the receiving end of violence and vitriol. Arrests were common, and the fear of imprisonment loomed large. These moments of adversity tested their resolve. So, while setbacks were an undeniable part of the journey, they did not dampen the spirits of these brave women. Instead, they became touchstones of their resilience. These struggles and setbacks underscored the magnitude of their battle and the lengths they were willing to go to secure their fundamental rights. The divisions within the movement. Like any robust movement, the women's suffrage campaign was not without its share of internal strife. The main chasm lay in the tactics to be employed for securing women's right to vote. One camp believed in chipping away at the issue gradually, advocating for suffrage on a state-by-state basis. Conversely, the other faction pushed for a more sweeping change, a constitutional amendment to guarantee women's suffrage across the nation. This ideological split led to the birth of two crucial groups in the history of the movement: the National Women's Suffrage Association and the American Women's Suffrage Association. Each group, in its unique way, contributed to the broader cause. Their differences in strategy reflect the complex and multifaceted nature of social movements, showing that a unified goal can be approached from multiple angles. The diversity of thought within the movement underscores the vigor and dynamism that marked this significant era in women's history. The triumph, the 19th Amendment. The year was 1920, and a seismic shift was about to occur in American society. The tireless efforts, impassioned speeches, and unyielding dedication of the suffragettes were finally about to culminate in a historic victory. The 19th Amendment, an embodiment of their aspirations and struggles, was ratified on the 18th of August. This transformative piece of legislation did not merely grant women the right to vote, but was a landmark declaration of their equality and sovereignty in the democratic process. The journey to this point had been arduous, fraught with obstacles and setbacks. But this victory was a testament to the enduring spirit of the women who refused to be silenced. It was a monumental triumph, not only for the women of that era, but for every generation of women that would follow. This momentous achievement was, however, not the end of the fight. The suffragettes had carved a path, and it was now up to future generations to tread it, furthering the cause of equality and justice, the impact and legacy of the movement. The women's suffrage movement forever altered the landscape of American society and democracy. The ratification of the 19th Amendment was more than just a legislative victory. It was a catalyst for change, propelling women to the forefront of political and societal affairs. This seismic shift didn't just benefit the women of that era, but has reverberated through generations, empowering and inspiring countless women to step into roles previously deemed inaccessible. This ripple effect has been felt far and wide, from the world of politics to the realms of academia, business, and beyond. The audacity and tenacity of the suffragettes set a powerful precedent for future advocates of gender equality. Their courageous stand against societal norms and oppressive laws laid the groundwork for contemporary feminist movements. Today, as women across the globe continue to break barriers and shatter glass ceilings, we find ourselves standing on the shoulders of the suffragettes, emboldened by their fight and fueled by their triumph. Their legacy is a torch that lights our path, igniting the spark for continued progress towards equality. The struggle continues. Modern-day issues. Despite the triumphs of the suffrage movement, the path towards gender equality is still under construction. Even in our modern society, women are facing uphill battles. The wage gap persists, with women often earning less than their male counterparts for similar work. Incidences of gender-based violence are alarmingly high and continue to be a grave concern worldwide. Yet, in the face of these challenges, the resilience and determination that marked the suffrage movement are still very much alive today. Women worldwide are raising their voices, advocating for fair treatment, equal opportunities, and justice. They're breaking through barriers, challenging norms, and championing change, proving that the spirit of the suffrage movement is not only a part of history but also a vibrant part of our present and future. A fight for equality, though far from over, is as relentless as ever, and it continues to be fueled by the same unyielding spirit that drove the suffragettes more than a century ago. As we continue to strive for a more equitable world, the echoes of their battle cry resound, reminding us of the power and potency of perseverance in the face of adversity. And there you have it, folks. If you stayed until the end, make sure to comment what you would like to see next on the channel. See you all in the next video.